how are you wired? Like, I can meet and talk to anybody and become friends with them in 5 minutes. I don't even know who they are. Whereas somebody else can't even talk to somebody, right? If I have something that, what I've learned in the last few months is it's who, not how. And I learned this from Dan Sullivan. Who, not how. A lot of schooling teaches you how to do something. If I showed you a video, you might ask me, how did you do that? How did you shoot it? How did you edit it? What software did you use? What camera did you use? When more, you might ask the question, who did it? Or who can do it for me? And so one of the things that I found, where do I procrastinate? I procrastinate in areas where essentially it involves anything that isn't talking. It sounds crazy, but I have talked to people, and if you're like me, you'll get it, right? You don't know what it is. It's hard to explain, but essentially the reality is that where somebody else instantly gets an email and they'll respond right back on an email. If there's not a phone number, my natural inclination is want to freaking talk to the person. I want to talk to the person, so I'll procrastinate on the dang email. Anything that involves get all these files together, get all these papers together, organize all this stuff, and it's all on a computer, and it doesn't involve interacting with anybody. That's where I procrastinate. So the more I can remove those things from my life in business and potentially in my personal life, then the happier I am. The more I get done, the more productive I am, right? So that involves this. Like, this is my natural thing. Being able to do this is easy for me. It may not be easy for you, right? That's the thing I want to root these conversations with people in. Let's show how everybody's different, so everybody can see that not everybody's the same. And again, if you're on the wrong track, you're going to be losing. And the other thing I want to do is dig deep. If somebody quits their job, I have somebody who just sent me a message recently. They said, thanks so much for the inspiration. I just recently quit my job. Fan-freaking-tastic. Let's dig into that a little bit so people can know. And not to spite the person or say, well, easy for you because your husband has the money. Well, that may be the case. I'm not sitting here to put shame on the person for that scenario, but there's going to be people who are 25 years old, single, no attachments to anybody or anything, and the way they're going to be able to do things, the risk they're going to be willing to take is far different than the 35-year-old who is employed with 4 kids and a lot of debt. So how does a person who's that age with that many kids and that much debt change careers? Versus a kid that's 25, single, and no attachments and no debt. Now, I'm not putting judgment on either or. The point is there's a lot of different scenarios. And so many times you hear podcasts, you hear interviews, and you hear things, and it skips over all those details. You just hear, man transitions and makes $100,000 in 6 months. Okay, great. And then you start right where he's at. And you just hear what he did to make $600,000 or $100,000 or whatever in 6 months. But you don't hear, I could say, guys, I made $1 million in 6 months from this day. And I haven't right now, but let's say 6 months from now that was the case. And then I start going on podcasts. Michael Gebben makes $1 million in 6 months, after starting the Gebb Show. The reality is, if I didn't talk about all the different things I've tried and tested and tweaked and tossed and stopped and started and did over and over again and gave up and started another thing and tried this since 2011, you'd just think, God dang, well, man, what about me? I can't do that. Well, yeah, because you haven't tried all these things for another 7 years, 2 years, 1 year. Justin Bieber getting picked up by whatever because he found him on YouTube. Well, there's a bazillion millions of people who are talented now. They're not getting picked up left and right because there's so many people. And I don't know, 2005, 2006, there weren't that many people to be found who are awesome singing on YouTube. Landscapes changed. But I want to talk to people at different landscapes, not just, hey, 14 years ago, you made this transition, because that doesn't necessarily apply. That same transition in the same situation won't happen in the same way that it does today. I have friends who achieve certain things on YouTube that those same things don't work today. So if you're teaching me a way that worked 8 years ago, it ain't going to work today. But there's a new way. So let's talk to people who are doing it today.